If you do not give Google Maps your final address, it can't give you the strategy or directions to get there. How is that any different than your business? What is that destination? What is that date? Remember,
Oh,
I
yeah.
told you earlier, the definition is a commercial profitable enterprise that has a sale date. And that date is as
All right,
specific as
welcome
it.
to the Relentless podcast. I have a phenomenal guest today for all my contractors out there, remodelers, real estate investors, real estate flippers, and everything in between. So, Steven Rozenberg, thank you for coming on today, my friend. Super excited to have you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. It's good to see you, man.
You too. You too. So tell me a little bit about your journey, where you were, where you are, who you could help, and how you help them.
Yeah. So my background is probably a little different than probably most people you've had on. Started off being a major airline pilot. Started being a pilot when I was 25 years old. I was the second youngest person hired by a particular airline. And all I ever wanted to do was be a pilot. That was it. And got hired, went out to Guam, flew out in the South Pacific for this particular airline. Came back, was living in Houston, got furloughed from 9/11, and realized that safe, secure job that I thought I had, it wasn't safe, it wasn't secure. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I had to kind of figure it out. And I started, well, first thing I did is I went to this building with books in it called the library, because YouTube didn't exist back then, and started reading, what do successful people do? Like, what do they do? A lot of people were tied to real estate. I didn't know anything about real estate. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know anything about it. So I started reading books, started learning, started buying real estate, got ripped off, lost a lot of money, got taken advantage of, but I kept doing it and I kept learning and I started basically not losing as much as I was winning. So I started winning a little more. Ended up buying a lot of real estate, owned a lot of stuff, and started a property management company for my real estate out of a need. Uh, I realized that running a business was nothing like being a pilot or owning real estate. It was a completely different animal. And basically, we were getting our asses handed to us because we knew nothing about running a business. So we got a business coach. Couldn't afford to have him, but couldn't afford not to have him. So we hired the guy. We stayed with this guy for 6 years, 7 years, sorry. We built the fastest growing property management company in the state of Texas, had over 1,000 properties. 60% of it was outsourced to virtual assistants in Mexico. Our margins, our revenue was just through the roof, because we learned how to put right person, right seat. And we ended up selling it to a venture capital backed firm that was funded over $200 million. And we exited and we sold the business. Um, the way that we did it is we ran the company the way an airline runs: processes, procedures, structure, checklists, just the way all of our businesses run today or should run today. That is what we did. And when after I had sold my company, we had worked obviously with a lot of trades in the property management. We had over 300 vendors, HVAC, contracting, and we started. In order for them to stay in business, because we would give them so much business, we started coaching them to make sure that they could fulfill the contracts that we needed them to. So it's kind of self-serving. And when I was done, I had a lot of them come up and ask me if I could help them. Could I help them grow their businesses to the next level? Because they knew how to hammer a nail, but they didn't know how to run a business. So I started doing that. And I started really focusing on showing people how to build not just a business, but build a business that gives them the life that they want, to create the memories with family and loved ones, and be able to step into a new realm of being successful, right? And I don't think success is defined by money. We've talked about this. It's about being around family, loved ones, and doing those things. So I know it's a long answer, but that's what I do now. I work with people in the trade and contracting industry. I show them how to systemize, automate, run their businesses, not have their business run them. But most importantly, I teach people how to make money because I think that most people do not know how to be master communicators to make the most amount of money for every single word that comes out of their mouth, essentially. And if you can learn to make
Absolutely.
money, a lot of problems go away. It doesn't solve all problems, but it solves a lot of problems short term because now you can buy employees, you can buy technology, you can staff up. If you have no money, none of that matters because you're going out of business.
That's
So
right.
that's kind of what I focus on.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, you have money, you're buying your time back, right? This way you can
Yeah.
focus on other things.
Yeah, you're trading time for money. I mean, that's what an employee does. You pay someone $20 an hour. You're basically saying you're worth $20 for every hour that you give me. You're trading time for
Absolutely.
money.
Yep.
Smart people don't, or not, I shouldn't say smart. Successful people don't do that.
Yes. So what I noticed, and again, I never worked for a construction company. I learned it myself. I
Yep.
started it myself. I made every single mistake you possibly can make. In my journey, I really didn't pay attention to anyone else but me and how and us, my company, to build us up. But then when I started talking to these other contractors, I started to realize, successful people have a common denominator, but also contractors that are failing have a common denominator, and that's one of those things where delegation is unheard of in some of those businesses. I'm not going to say you can't be successful, but you won't be able to scale. You won't be able to grow. You're trying to hold everything in and you do it yourself. You don't want to give your secrets out to the other guys because you think that they're going to start their own businesses. And, sometimes when you don't know how to do something, you become better at finding people that do know how to do it to fill those slots, to make that money, to build that team, to make more money, to scale that business to where it needs to be. And that's what I feel like a business coach is going to be able to do for all these guys that, yeah, they're masters at their craft, but they're not masters of business. And it's two totally separate things.
Yeah. Look, my definition of what I've learned in business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that runs without you and has a sale date. So if we broke down that sentence, a commercial profitable enterprise is something that makes money. I mean, we're doing this to make money. Running without you is a business that is running on processes, procedures, and structure. Having a sale date, the reason you have to have a sale date is not to sell the business. It's a date in time that your business becomes a saleable asset, meaning it's not running with you. Because if you have to be in your business, it's not a business, it's a job. And it's probably not paying you what your time is worth because you are trading time for money and you are basically enslaved to the one thing that you thought would give you freedom. And that's what most contractors do. They think the hardest worker in the room is the most successful. If that was the case, all the employees that are climbing roofs and shoving, bricks into wheelbarrows, they would be the wealthiest people on the planet, but they're not because leverage is the key. You business owners understand leverage. You leverage people, you leverage money, you leverage time, you leverage knowledge, and you leverage experience. Like you said, the best thing you could do is not be in an industry that you know because you come with preconceived notions like, oh, you're not floating that wall right. Let me do it. That's the better way to float it. Nobody gives a shit about floating the wall. You should be thinking, what's the P&L on this? Right? You should be thinking from the neck up.
The
And
high
that's what a
level
lot of
stuff.
people don't do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like contractors, you don't have no training. Your training is, hey, you didn't finish college or you made it somewhat through high school and you work for a guy. And that guy, put in the windows or maybe did HVAC, but he did it to a level where he was there on the job all the time every day and he was wearing all those hats. So, getting out of that mindset of a construction owner or construction worker to a business owner, you have to have the ability to take those systems and processes and integrate them into what you do every single day to grow.
Yeah. And look, when you think about it, Sam, like if I wanted to become a doctor, right? I can't just go into an operating room and pick up a scalpel and start cutting people. I've got to go to medical school. I got to
Sure.
get certified. If I want to be a lawyer and you are up for trial for murder, I don't just get to go, hey man, I'm going to give it a shot. I've never done this before, but fuck it. I'm going to stand in the front of the court. And I'm going to save my shit. As a pilot, you want to make sure your pilots are trained to fly the plane, not just in good times, but when an emergency happens, right? So we all have to go to school. What school does the entrepreneur go to?
Right.
They don't. So
No, there is
they
none.
are learning off of osmosis, the telephone game, someone who's done it before. And that's what, to me, that's what coaching does. Because what, to me, the basic fundamentals of what a coach does is you're buying the thousands of mistakes that someone before you has made so you don't make them. Because, like, and this is something I always tell people, like, you are going to pay the bill either way. You are either going to pay in time or you will pay in money. But make no mistake, you are not getting out of this without paying the bill. It could take you 12 years of hunting and pecking and guessing, stress, and trying it on your own the first time. Or you hire someone like me or what you do, and you pay for the thousands of mistakes that someone else has made. And we speed this up for 12 months and go, here's the recipe. Because you said something earlier, which is true. There is a recipe to succeed, and there's a recipe to fail. It's like baking a cake. And right before you put that cake in the oven, you start putting frosting on it and you shove it in the oven. You take it out and you're like, fuck, that didn't work. And so what do? We put more frosting on and we try it again. And we try it again. It is never going to work. That is a recipe to fail. If you take all those ingredients and you just do it in a different sequential order, you could have a great cake. My point is a lot of entrepreneurs, construction workers, tradespeople, anyone who owns a business, they have all the right pieces. They have all the ingredients, but they're doing them in the wrong order and it will never, ever work. They are just working themselves into a job and they're grinding themselves into the ground, and it will never be the life that they want because they're always doing the wrong recipe.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Once you start, doing everything and seeing what's working and what's not, if you're just going to try to push the same thing in a direction and you keep losing, you got to really figure it out. Ego is important, but, also being able to adapt and overcome the different situations, that's going to be the difference in life or death for your business.
Yeah, look, ego and pride are the biggest success inhibitors that exist. So, everyone I know that is successful, just like you and other people, the first things out of their mouth is, it's not me, it's my team. Like, like I've never met someone that's doing 8, 9, 10 figures and they said, Steve, it's all me. I do it all. I do it from fucking beginning to end. I do it. They've never said that. So
No,
the thing is you've got to ask yourself, what is that recipe that they follow? You have to be humble. You have to realize that I believe, and you tell me what you think, is every one of us has a strength and we have a lot of weaknesses. Why don't we just play to the one strength that we had and then we outsource our weaknesses, either to employees, to systems, to technology? If you're good at as a quarterback in the NFL and you are Tom Brady, they're not going to go, hey, Tom, why don't you try kicking today? We think you should kick. No, no, I throw the ball. That is what I do. I am good at one thing. Let me be the best at what I do. But in business, we try to do all these things. And we have this Superman pull out our cape, watch out, stand out of the way. I can do this better. And the one thing that they could do the best, they do everything mediocre. And I think that's the problem with business owners today.
yeah. So I agree 100% with that too. So now my one day bathroom business, the guy who I had, my sales manager, my salesman, only sales, he's trying to do a little bit of everything. And the problem there is he's taking his eye off the ball with sales, and he's trying to be the marketing guy. He's trying to get involved with installations. And I keep pulling him back and going, hey, you need to stay in your lane. He's like, well, I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. And he's doing great, but how much better can he be if he stays in his lane to build it up? Because again, like you said, if you're really good at one thing, my job is to find people that are better than you, and
Absolutely.
his job is to make sure that I don't find people that are better than him, so he has a job, right? So that's the truth. I mean, the name of the game is bring in all A players at certain tasks, and certain people again have certain things that they're better at naturally because that's just how they were built. And again, being able to do like a disc assessment and have that position, and I hired a company that does just that. Before I even talk to them, they take a test. It's an
Yeah.
assessment test. It takes anywhere from 3 minutes average I think is 5 minutes, and I had a couple of people that took 37 minutes for the same test. I knew already something's wrong. They did,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it tells me, are they a technician? Are they good at being an assistant? Are they going to be good at inside sales? Are they good? And it'll rank them from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10, and it'll tell me he's in the right seat, he's in the wrong seat. This person, depending on how they scored, are they going to work well with me? Because I took the test myself. Are they going to work good with my office manager? All those things are important to me, and it also tells them, it shows me videos on how to coach that person. So, that was a game changer for me too.
Yeah, I'm certified in DISC teaching it, and number one, I could not agree more. Um, you should always hire based on DISC. No, a couple things, and I teach classes on this on the DISC profiling because everything you just said I agree with. Um, Number one, why would you ever hire off of a resume? Who says they suck on a resume? Like, I'm really shitty at being on time. I've got a bad problem with authority. It's a glorified lie. Their
Absolutely.
disc, their disc will tell you, are they the right role for the right seat? And every position in your company is tied to a specific disc profile. So what I have learned, and I don't know if you do this, is two things I do with disc. So when leads come in, the first question, well, let me back up. So when I write ads for a position, it's based on the disc profile that I want it to resonate with because it's going to establish rapport at a subconscious level by them going, that's my job. I like what this, if it's a an accountant, do you like working with spreadsheets? Are you good with numbers? Do you like working alone and presenting your information? Are that is a C disc profile, and they're going to go, yeah, that is exactly what I want. If I was a salesperson, I'm going to be like, no freaking way. That is not me. That's torture. So
Absolutely.
have it resonate with the person. The next thing I do on the flip side is the customers. So I have my clients identify their target client by grading them A, B, C, and D. So once we identify, we don't have to go into the classification, but if we say the A's and B's are the best, right? Raving fans, they love you, they pay the rate, no problems. You find the common thread between them. There's an average age, there's an average income, there's an average gender, there's an average demographics, and most importantly, there's an average problem that you solve for them. Well,
Sure.
if let's say for example you said, man, I just like being in the Northwest Philly area, and I seem to do great with males that are between 40 and 55 years old, houses that are over $1 million. And the problem is they're buying a house that was built in the 1920 and they want it rejuvenated. And by the way, what do these people all seem to do for a living? Well, they all seem to be engineers. Okay, well, then I know that's a C. I'm going to write my advertisement to be a C disc format because they're going to read that ad and go, yeah, I want this person working on my thing. So you can write your ads based on the disc also for your marketing campaigns because you want it to resonate with who it's going to.
Absolutely. That's a great little tip there.
Yeah, that's a
That's
that's a
huge.
nugget, man.
That's
Yeah, that's a
huge. I
good one.
like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, I think with us, we're showcase side. We're all referrals. So and most of the customers they know what type of performance they're going to get with our company. Good and bad. I always say, hey, listen, we're really good at this, and we're really horrible at that. And when I tell them, what we're horrible at is painting. Like my painting, I'm just brutally honest. We only have 2 crews that are really good, and we have 165 jobs. So if you have another company that wants to paint for us or paint for you, and they're giving you a good rate, they do a good job, and they want to come in at the end of the job, that probably might be the way to go. And I just want to tell people right from the start, we're very effective and very efficient. So this way, we know exactly what we want there. Now, for the 1 day bathroom client, again, it's a different demographic. It's a 55 plus. It's someone that's looking to maybe age in place. It's someone that still may want a nicer look because again, some of the companies that are my competition, they have a very plain, I call it ugly look, where ours kind of stands out. So I kind of want to stand out in that feature where even though we're going in there and it's going to be an aging in place and you're going to be able to take this through to the end, easy to clean, easy maintenance, lifetime warranty. Some of those things are important for people. We want to be able to write the demo. We're going to write that ad toward that person that's looking for exactly that.
Yeah, and look, you and I both know people don't buy on price; they buy on the value or the
That's
perception
right.
of value, right? If you're selling on price, you're just a commodity, and someone just can come a dollar cheaper, and you've lost all the value, your value proposition that you had. And one thing I used to tell people is, I would tell people two things are going to happen in our relationship in business. We are going to mess something up, and you are going to get upset. So I said, just so we're clear, if somebody tells you they're going to be perfect, they're full of shit. So
Right.
let's just be honest. We will mess something up somewhere and you will get upset. The true test of a company is what do they do after that? Do they blame? Do they have excuses or do they own it? We take pride in ownership. We know we're human. Humans call in sick. Humans make mistakes. They could order the wrong thing. So I'm kind of pre-positioning them that if something messes up down the road, they go, "Remember we had this conversation." So I pre-position them to say, "Hey, look, we know it's going to happen. Like it's going to happen. But what you should focus on is what we do after it happens and how do we handle it." Because
Right.
that's the true test of a good company. Because my goal, I have two goals when we're done with this job. The first goal is that you use me again, and the second goal is you are so happy that you refer us. So if you use us again and you refer us, I know we've done our job. Is that fair? And they're like, yeah, that's fair. So now I've already I set the plant that there's going to be mistakes. We're okay with that. We just agreed we're good with that. Number one. Number two, you are going to be so happy. You're going to use me again. So now they're going, oh, I wonder what else he does. Right. Like, oh, I thought you just did 1 day kitchens, 1 day bathrooms. Like,
Right.
oh, and referrals. So that after when I say, hey, remember our agreement, who else do you know? So it's not the first time you've asked for it. So again, that's just things, that's the sales part of me that comes out.
Love that. Love that. So let's talk about your big event coming up in October.
Yeah.
What it's all about, and who would definitely benefit, at least in my circle, by coming to that.
Yeah, so I have an event. It's called Mach 5. It is for contractor trades, business owners, and people that are just starting out, people that are trying to get going. I'm making it a point. Listen, first of all, let me just say something. I am not building a pitch fest sellathon conference. I am creating a community. I have a great community of tradespeople, real estate investors, property managers, tradespeople. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we do because we're all entrepreneurs just trying to build a business to have a better life. So let's forget what we do. The question is do you want a business that runs without you to have a better life? That's a better question. So, based on that, this conference is very, very simple. I have assembled, I've got 14 speakers. It's October 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I have 14 speakers that these people are personal friends of mine. So I'll just say this before I tell you the names of who they are. The first guy is a very dear friend of mine. His name is Lee Labrada. So if anyone has ever been in the fitness world in the 80s and 90s, they know who Lee Labrada is. Um, he is one of the first of all, he's a personal friend of mine. But more importantly, as a business owner, he is probably the only business owner that I know of that went from being a professional bodybuilder athlete to creating a nutrition supplement line that now does $100 million a year in revenue. That's pretty good, right? I mean, I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in. And the guy is just a gentleman. I told him about the event. He goes, Steve, he goes, it is my 30-year anniversary of Labrada Nutrition. And I was like, dude, no problem. He goes, you know what, man? He goes, I am so proud of you. He goes, I'm there. He goes, I said,
That's
dude,
great.
if you could open the show and be the opening guy, how do you build for 30 years? How do you build $100 million? Now, he almost went bankrupt two times. One of them was during COVID because when people don't go to the gyms or the grocery stores, they don't sell their product. So my point is sometimes we think, oh, we're good. We're so big. We're good. Once that wheel stops, and he's going to talk about that. So Leela Broad is coming. Um, I've got a guy named Tony Flatham. Tony Flatham is a guy that's got about a $20 million business. Started off door knocking, roofing business. Didn't even know what door knocking was. built up this huge business, owns, just like you, owns tons of real estate, loves the combination of the two. I think your business makes you rich, real estate makes you wealthy. He has figured out the formula, just like you have, just like I have, to be this. So he's going to talk about his story of just, he's from Minnesota and this is what he does. Then I've got a guy, he's my personal coach. His name is Eli Wild. You don't know who he is, but when I explain who he is, you'll know. Eli Wild was the number one closer for Tony Robbins. He is the guy,
Right.
he did $12 million in sales in 1 hour for Tony during COVID.
Beast. He's a beast.
He is a
That's
beast.
amazing.
He is the nicest guy. He coaches me. And I said, Eli, man, would you be willing to come? And he asked what I was doing, what it was about. I said, yeah. He's like, dude, I'm there. So he's going to talk about the identity and the psychology of why people buy. How do they buy? How you have to craft your sentence and your stories, your pitch. The next guy who's coming, his name is Jason Cisneros. Jason has a company called Build to Exit because Jason says all of us are going to exit our business one way or the other. The question is are you prepared or not? Because you
Right.
will exit one way or the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so he teaches you how to build your business to exit it or sell it or partner it or whatever you want to do, get cash injections. So a lot of people that have cash problems, he is coming and he's like, I want to come for all 3 days. He's like, dude, he's like, you seem like, he's like, I want to hang out with you. He's like, I just want to hang out. He goes, I just love the people. My marketing team is coming, how to create ads and funnels. They're going to explain it. How did they, so, the way, and you know this, right? When you're running ads, you create funnels, you have CRM email drip campaigns. Once someone clicks on that, it normally goes to what's called a setter. The setter is the one who answers that phone, gets them to set an appointment for the closer. The first guy who's going to be talking about how do you actually make ads that work. He's probably the first guy in 2 years that actually does what he says and actually gets ads that work. Then the guy who does the setting that's in charge of that team is going to speak. How do you make sure that you set the appointments correctly and plant the right seed? And then the last guy that's going to speak is going to be the one who says, this is how you do a one-time close. How do you show up on a job site and close high ticket right there? And then I'm going to have a panel with all of them.
Love
So,
it.
dude, it's very functional. And I've got other speakers, I won't go into it, but the main thing is people are going to leave all about how to have actionable items. Listen, it's great to run 100 triathlons like Iron Cowboy. Probably not going to happen when you leave a conference. It's inspiring. I love James. I'm good friends with him, but it's not tangible. I want people to walk out of here going, I can implement this in my business tomorrow.
Sure.
That's what I want. And that's
Oh
what's
yeah.
important to me.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's so exciting. And I got to tell you, like even like learning the exit strategies of a business, even up front, it's actually going to help you set your business up now. I don't care if you're trying to close, sell in 30 years, you're just getting started. Those principles and practices, if you take them now and put them into what you're doing now, it's just going to make your business that much better. And then when you're at the end, it'll be a cakewalk versus, I've seen companies, one about to sell right now for over $200 million. A friend of mine, he said, Sam, it's been nothing but a nightmare since last October. Everything they've been asking me for, I wish I knew before, I had to go into all this, what I was supposed to do. And I know other businesses that sold and said, hey, I paid a company to try and come in and help me build this thing up to exit. But, I really left a lot of money on the table that I didn't, I should have had I known that's what they wanted. I could have ran this out another year or two. And instead of getting, 30 million, I think was his payout, he could have got 60 million, it's all in, who how you know it, how you play it, how you build it to exit out. So, again, that's huge.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because one of the things I'm a big proponent in coaching is you've got to start with the end in mind, right? Meaning, like, I'll take you something as simple as when we use our phones, like Google Maps. Google Maps needs two things to work: where you're starting and where you're going. If you do not give Google Maps your final address, it can't give you the strategy or directions to get there. You don't just get in your car and start driving. it's going to say, dude, I need an address. How is that any different than your business? What is that destination? What is that date? Remember,
Oh
I
yeah.
told you earlier, the definition is a commercial profitable enterprise that has a sale date. And that date is as specific as an address. It's a day, a month, and a year. It's a profit margin. It's the amount of hours you're working in your business. So you say, okay, January 1st, 2030, we are a $20 million company. We are running 35% profit margins, and I am involved 3 hours a week in the business. That is the target. That's the scope of the bullseye that you're aiming for. Every decision you make, just like in Google Maps, is anchored on that decision. Should we buy this product? Should we buy this tool? Should we buy this? Should we invest in this building? Every question should be anchored to, does this get us closer to this goal? Because if you can't answer it, you don't do it. More importantly, I believe every business should have two organization charts, one for where you're at and one for when you have a saleable asset. The connection between the two, so that when you hire someone and you hire John and you go, hey man, I'm doing all these things right now because we're a small company. But this is where the company's going, because 85% of how we learn is through our eyes. So you have to have a visual depiction to show John, hey, bro, this is where you're at here, but this is where I see you going. This is your career ascension ladder. When we are a $30 million company, this is what it will look like. And this is where I see you. That is called the vision. That is what keeps people moving, is the vision. And that is what inspires them. If you're like, dude, it's just a shit show, just come and work, and I fucking don't know when this is going to end. At some place, they're going to go, dude, this guy is just running me into the ground. I'm out of here because that guy has a better vision. And so many times, as you know, we think we have a vision in our head. We don't really know, but we never actually share it with our team. And then that person goes to quit and they're like, man, they don't get it. I was doing this, 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 and this. I'm like, did you ever tell them where you were going? Well, no. So basically, they were there for a paycheck and they left for another paycheck, because
Right.
people don't follow paychecks, they follow leaders. People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad leadership. And as we know, you build a business based on leverage of people. So if you have
Sure.
these people busting their ass, if you want them to fucking walk through walls for you, they're only going to do that for one thing, because of the vision. That's why we join religions. That's why we join gangs. That's why we join the military. Think about this, Sam. People will join the military and they will go fight for a country and lose their life for us, for a belief, because of their beliefs, because of the vision that someone has set. They said, I am willing to put my beliefs on the line and put my life on the line because of this vision. That is how important having a vision is.
You got me pumped. I already thought I was pumped. You got me next level pumped. I'm about to go back to the office and start running through some walls.
I love it, brother.
So yeah. So listen, I really appreciate you coming on today. Someone that's in business, maybe struggling, maybe not, maybe doing great. I really feel they should reach out to you. What's the best way to reach out to have your team start contacting them and getting being a part of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to my website. It's steverozenberg.com. It's ROZENBERG.com. They can find me on social media. If you're in this space, YouTube, Instagram, any of those things, you can find me. Just Google my name. I'm kind of everywhere. I do answer my DM. So if you send me a message, and as long as you're not trying to sell me some land in Lagos, Nigeria, or tell me that I won $1 million, or that you can increase my Instagram by 500,000, I will answer you. But I'm, listen, man. I'm like you, man. I'm like everybody else. I'm a product of the product. If you think that your life could be better by coming to Mach 5, what do you have to lose, right? If you don't have time, that's why you need to come. You
That's
need to
right.
make time, in my
That's right.
opinion, because
Oh yeah.
people like you, Sam, the only reason that you're successful is you finally made a decision and said, enough's enough. I'm fucking
Yes.
done and I'm moving forward. And more people need to make that decision like you did to move forward.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate you today. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you guys.